SoFi Stadium, getting ready for Week 3 of the NFL season. The Los Angeles Rams and their perfect record, Kirk, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their perfect 2-0 record. No question coming into this one here in Week 3. This is the biggest competition. This is the biggest step up in competition that the Rams have seen so far this season.
Well, I can tell you're excited. You're standing. So
Absolutely.
Let me go ahead and stand
Get
too,
up,
because
Kirk. Get up. Let's go. Let's go.
No, this is a big game, man. It's a big game. It really is, because I think anytime you have the defending champions coming into your building, there's a little juice. There's a little excitement. The last time we were here, it was because it was week number 1. It was the start of the NFL season. It was Sunday Night Football. This is one of those standalone sort of the afternoon games where one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You get to really sit back. For people who out there, if you don't collect your tickets today, these are the type of tickets you save, and you think about them. You hopefully look at them 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and say, I was there to see Tom Brady take on the Rams in SoFi Stadium. So today is kind of almost like a historical moment, but you could just feel the energy early in this game, because both these teams, this isn't just another game. These are two teams that have Super Bowl aspirations today.
Well, that's the idea, right? These are two teams that have Super Bowl aspirations. I think coming into the season, there was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC as far as the favorites go, and then there's that group right after them that includes the Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, the Green Bay Packers. All four of these teams are playing each other today. We got the Packers and the 49ers coming up tonight. Obviously, if the 49ers win that one, they'll be 3-0 and off to a really good start as well. But it does feel like whoever comes out of this game tonight, obviously only Week 3, and nobody's making any reservations yet, but maybe they have nosed ahead in that NFC race with whoever wins today?
Well, I think it's really about home field advantage. And when you're talking about an interconference matchup, this one matters.
Sure.
Because there's only one number 1 seed in the
bye.
playoffs. One bye. There's only one bye that can really go for this conference. So what happens at the end of the year, we're talking, is it, Tampa is tied with the Rams, what may happen? Whoever wins today will have that advantage. So you're playing for something always, and today just seems that an early game in the season, you don't think that could be of so much importance when you come to week 16, 17, and 18.
We always end up going back, Kirk. In all the years that we've been doing this, we always end up going back to week 3 or 6 or whatever it is. By the time you get to weeks 15, 16, 17, and now this year, week 18, there's always going to be a look back at a game early in the season that's going to tip this thing one way or the other. Tip it in the right direction, tip it in the other direction. We will see. Obviously, we were just looking at the TV here. We just showed Tom Brady coming into the building. Tom Brady, like you said, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
How are we here? This guy is in his mid-40s, and not just playing, which is almost unprecedented, but playing at this level. He's got 9 touchdown passes through the first 2 games of the season. He looks as good as he has ever looked in his entire career, and we're talking about a guy in his 20th season. What are we looking at?
Well, I think people in Los Angeles realize just how good you can be if you dedicate your life to something. And I think I'm really more so just talking about Kobe Bryant and what he meant to the Los Angeles Lakers, but what he meant to basketball, but what he meant to his career. If you ever talked about someone who was just in love with the game, that was Kobe when it came to basketball. When it comes to football, I think it's the same thing with Tom Brady in the NFL, in football. He is so in love with the sport. Like, when you talk about it, he says, yes, you're going to need a little bit of luck, obviously, to stay healthy. And he's only really missed that one significant year with a knee injury. But this is a guy who's really changed the way that he eats, changed the way that he lives, changed the way that he trains. He has his own training method now. That's the reason why we're here right now, because he is a guy that fully invested his life into football.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. I mean, we started having the conversation a few years ago when is this going to start to tip, and it's going to start to get a little bit different, and then a little bit different, and then maybe a lot of bit different. It hasn't. It's just stayed at this high level, and it really hasn't started to tip at all. What is a time where you start thinking, okay, maybe this is towards the end, and we just kind of punted on it and saying, he'll let us know when he doesn't want to play anymore?
Yeah, I think right now he keeps saying, hey, I'm going to fulfill my commitment to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so now you have to start looking at his contract. When does the contract expire? What it may look like for him. But right now, the way that he's throwing the football, the way that he's playing, the way that his accuracy, the way that his feet work, nothing's slowed down. He's got 9 touchdowns in the year already.
Arm still has snap.
9 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks of the season. I mean, he is still by far one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, and he yields and wields his team to victory every single week. It's hard to tell him to stop. I think everyone keeps saying, like, when are you? And I'm just saying, I'm just marveling at this. I mean, because when he's gone, you're going to miss it, right?
For sure.
When Kobe left, you're like, man, I miss Kobe, right? And then you saw it with Tom Brady. When he's gone, we miss it. And this is why I hold Tom Brady ahead of Peyton Manning, because Peyton Manning's retired, and obviously now he does his Monday night thing.
Pretty good
Eli
at it,
Manning's
too.
pretty good, yeah, and it's fun. But you kind of forget,
They're
Peyton
contemporaries.
Manning, but Peyton Manning was really good.
Yes.
And he was so simultaneous with Tom Brady, and Tom Brady exceeded everything that Peyton was doing, and he's still going.
And you just talk, Brady's a perfect example compared to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was Peyton Manning and then wasn't. I know they won the Super Bowl in his final season here, but that was not the same guy that we had seen through the early part of his career. So let's go to the Rams defense and talk about how they go slowing this whole thing down. No Antonio Brown today. He's on the COVID list, so he is not going to play, but there's still Chris Godwin. There's still Mike Evans. There's still Rob Gronkowski. You still got that quarterback in Tom Brady. The Rams defense, how do they go about slowing down a team that has put up a ton of points through the first 2 weeks?
Well, number one is that you got to pack your defense today. In terms of packing your rushing defense, you're going to have to stop the run, because Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, that's where I think Tampa Bay feels like, hey, we may be down a couple receivers, but you know what? We feel like we can run the football against this Los Angeles Rams front. If they're not able to run it, now you're forcing Tom Brady to be one-dimensional. That's what has to be the game plan for Raheem Morris and the defense of the Rams. Try to make Tom Brady one-dimensional. Get them out of trying to run the football, because that's where they get it. That's where they're effective at. Right now, Rob Gronkowski is probably the best tight end in the NFL in terms of statistics.
Too. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
No, he's not George Kittle. No, he's not the Kelce's and the Darren Wallers, but. This year already, just looking at what he's got, 4 touchdowns already. He's been a red zone threat his whole entire career. And right now, with the way that they're running the football, they don't have to run it a ton, but it's just effective enough to just give guys a little bit of time to get open and make some plays.
Is this going to be today what we've seen through the first couple of weeks? And what I mean is that we saw the Bears get the opening kickoff, go right down the field, Rams stop them inside the red zone. The exact same thing happened with the Indianapolis Colts last weekend in week 2, where the Rams give up some yards, especially early in that first half, especially on those first couple of drives, the scripted plays that we talked so much about.
Correct.
And then they've gotten stops at the end. Obviously, this is not Andy Dalton. This is not Carson Wentz. This is Tom Brady. If they let them into the red zone, it does feel like this team's going to leave with some points where maybe those others did not.
Yeah. They're going to whatever your mistake is, they're going to cash in.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't one of those teams that they play complementary scoring with what their defense is able to do. One of the top-notch defenses led by Todd Bowles for the Buccaneers, they have guys who can go and be game changers, ball hawks. The Devin Whites, Levante Davids, little still young in the secondary, but those guys grew up last year and won a Super Bowl. They made big plays. But Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, they want to come in and impose their will today. And if they get the ball back to Tom Brady, they know what to do with it. This Buccaneers offense, they're not trying to kick threes. They're trying to take your soul and get a touchdown.
Yeah, you mentioned, some of these names right? But Vita Vea may be one of those names that people don't know.
Yeah.
That man is a monster in the middle of the line. I mean, when the Rams played the Bucs last season and came away with that win, Vea did not play. So this is a different dynamic today. The Rams are going to have to deal with that guy in the middle.
Yeah, 6'4", 350. Yeah.
Is that a lot?
Yeah, that's a lot. Because of the way, and he also plays a little fullback as well. That just shows you the kind of athleticism that Vita Vea has. Yeah. I mean, people who watched him at the University of Washington, all the Pac-12 fans who are listening, Vita Vea was a force in college. He's been a force in the NFL when he's been healthy. Like I said, last year was a little bit banged up, but he started in the Super Bowl, and he was a difference maker. He's been a difference maker so far this year. It's going to be tough for Brian Allen, the center for the Rams today. If Vita Vea's lined up over him, trust me, Brian Allen going to call for help.
Yeah, he's going to ask for a little help.
I need
from
a little
one of those
help.
guards.
Hey, Sean McVay, I need a little help. Kelvin O'Connell, offensive coordinator. Please, I can't do this by myself.
Okay, you mentioned Vita Vea will also play a little fullback occasionally.
Yeah.
I need you to walk me through this. Kirk Morrison, linebacker in the NFL for 9 years. That hole opens up just a little bit, and here comes Vita Vea through that hole. It's your responsibility to do something.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
You got to make a business decision, right? How bad do I want it?
How important is this play?
How important is this play? But, there's 2 different ways you can go about it, Travis. You can go through the man or you can take a side. I would try to just take a side, just to be real. And I would try to force the football to one of my free hitters or something. I'm not going head up with that, man. Why? Now, 4th and 1, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
goal line, 4th and 1. You just got to sacrifice.
You got to do what I got to do.
Do what I got to do. So sometimes, I've seen guys just curl themselves up into a little ball and try to be a missile and just kind of fight their way and force some things, force some traffic. But Vita Vea, man, if the Rams get to a situation where he's in the backfield,
It's bad news.
It might get scary.
Yeah, that's bad news. Hopefully we don't have to see that today. Let's go back to the defensive side of the ball again here and talk a little bit, just kind of philosophically, Raheem Morris through the first couple of weeks. What have you made of that defense? Obviously, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. We've seen some other guys. David Long had a really good first week as well. We've seen Justin Lawler with an interception. There's been some nice plays along the way, but they have given up a lot of yards. Teams have been able to move the football against them. Is that just what this defense is going to be, a team that bends but doesn't break?
Yeah, but they've got 3 interceptions on the year, right? They've made some plays so far this season, and a lot of it really, honestly, it has to do with because of the offense. Think about it. Their offense is so quick strike, they're back on the field. And this is something that me and you are going to continue to watch throughout the season, is that will the Rams offense be able to sustain some drives to do what? Keep the defense
them
on the side. Yeah, keep them on the sideline. The more opportunities you put a defense out there, trust me, they're going to give up yards. They're going to give up points. They're still top 10 in points allowed. So this is a defense that's still a work in progress. We're only week 2. And I don't think they're even close to having played their best defensive game.
No, I think both sides. I think that's one of the things that I want to get into as well, is how do the Rams offense match up against there, and does Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp, that connection, do we continue to see that thrive here in week 3? Coming up next, it's DeMarco Farr's D-List with the 3 things that the Rams need to do to take down the Bucs. That's all straight ahead on the